pastor whenever I was in Rock Hill, South Carolina. I was asked to go to the hospital and visit a man. I didn't know who he was. He was a friend of someone. And so anyway, I went and visited him in the hospital, and he seemed to be doing okay. And so I just introduced myself and, talked to him for a little bit and had a word of prayer with him. And then I left, and I thought I would come back on another day and ask him where he was as far as his soul. But I didn't talk to him about it that day. So either the next day or the day after that, I went back to the hospital to check on him, and his room was empty. And when I checked on it, I found out that he had died the day before. And it dawned on me that I might have been the last possibility of explaining to him what it meant to be forgiven of his sins, and so that he would be able to go to heaven. Maybe he was a Christian. To this day, I don't know. But I wondered, and I thought, I believe I missed out on that opportunity. Then I moved to Lexington, and whenever I moved to Lexington, there was a gentleman that was ill, but he was terminally ill, but he had 6 to 8 months to live. So they asked me about checking on him, and I did. And whenever I checked on him, I had conversation. He was going to go in the hospital the next day for a little minor procedure. But I remembered back that thing that happened in Rock Hill, and I said, I better just ask him. And so I did. I asked him if he knew what it meant to be a Christian, and I explained all of that to him and asked him if he would like to ask for forgiveness, and he told me that he would, and he prayed the prayer of forgiveness. The next day, I went to the hospital for him to have a small procedure, and he didn't show up. And whenever I checked around, I found out that he had died that night after I left. I thought back to that a lot. I'm hoping that the first experience that I had, that God was preparing me, that God was maybe giving me some training or a little heads up so that when the next opportunity came, I could be prepared. It's amazing the way God can work in our lives if we allow Him to. Well, my name is Richard Coleman, and I'm the pastor at Shepherd Church of the Nazarene in Lexington, South Carolina, and it's great to spend just a few moments with you today. The Apostle Paul is talking to Timothy. Timothy is a young pastor, and he's pastoring a church, and there's just all kinds of things going on, all kinds of issues, and I imagine Timothy is probably just writing to Paul and saying, please help me, I don't know what I'm doing, and I can certainly understand where he was coming from. So Paul is trying to give him some advice. And one of the things that Paul tells him, Paul says, if there's anyone in your congregation that thinks they have such a negative past that they could never live for God, or Timothy, if you think you've messed up so many times that you could never live for God, he said, I want to tell you, he said, in my life, this is Paul speaking, he said, in my life, I have just done terrible things. He said, it was my job to persecute all of these new Christians. He said, I didn't realize that who Jesus was and the fact that he was the Messiah. And so I thought I was doing the right thing, but I was putting these people in jail because they were saying that Jesus was the Messiah. He said, I just trying to blow the whole movement out of the water. And guess what? He said, God forgave me from that. God had patience with me. God allowed me to be able to move forward and become the Christian that I am today. And he said, because of that, he said, I have become a prime example of what God can do in someone's life. He said, Timothy, he said, you let other people know what my past is. He said, I'm not really proud of it. He said, but you let them know what my past is and how bad I was. But because of that, I can be that prime example that others can say, wow, if God forgave him, he surely would forgive me. If God could do something with him, I know he would be able to do something for me. He said, Timothy, you let your congregation know about my bad past because they need to be able to see where I am now. Let them see how God is using me now. Let them see the difference in my life so that it might help them to live for God in a better way. And then he goes on and he says, Timothy, the key here is for you to cling to your faith and keep your conscience clear. So we told Timothy, it's not about what you've done in the past. It's not about whatever reputation you might have had, but it's where you are now with your walk in the Lord. He said, keep your faith, cling to your faith, and keep your conscience clear. And when the Holy Spirit speaks to you and you realize, man, I'm getting ready to do something, and Holy Spirit said, oh, no, I don't think you should. Listen to that and pay attention to your conscience. And when God speaks to us and tells us to stop something or start something or slow down in some way, we need to be able to take heed to that. Well, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May His face shine upon you. May you truly be able to listen to God's voice this week. Thanks for taking the time and viewing today.